I lived through an era when power cost blood. I watched kings fall and tyrants rise. And today, looking at Vladimir Putin, I see in him not just a politician, but a master of survival at the throne. His power is not based on chance. It is built on 5 pillars, and each of them is a lesson for those who seek to understand the true nature of domination. First, strategies. Putin has built a system where oligarchs, generals, and officials exist only by his grace. He allows them to earn billions and build empires, but makes them completely dependent. Any attempt to step out of line ends in disaster. The clearest example is the case of Yevgeny Prigozhin, a man who commanded his own private army and was considered close to the Kremlin, dared to challenge the system. His mutiny struck at the image of unshakable power, and Putin never forgave it. The result? A fatal plane crash, widely seen as a warning to the elites. The message was unmistakable. No one is above the system, and no one is safe, not even the most loyal allies. Second strategy, monopoly over the information space. Propaganda is not just about lying. It's about creating a parallel reality so strong that people stop asking questions. Putin's system controls the main TV channels, newspapers, radio stations, and increasingly, the online space. For years, Russians saw only one picture: Putin as the guardian of stability, the West as the eternal enemy, and domestic problems as either exaggerated or the fault of outsiders. Independent media that tried to break this monopoly were labeled foreign agents, harassed, or forced into exile. In this environment, the average Russian doesn't simply lack information. They live in an alternative truth. Wars are presented as liberations. Economic decline is spun as resilience. Dictatorship is reframed as sovereign democracy. Control over minds becomes as powerful as control over guns. Third strategy, the constant use of an external enemy. No regime can survive without a unifying myth. For Putin, that myth is Russia under siege. NATO, the US, Ukraine, the EU all are portrayed as aggressors, plotting to destroy Russia. This creates the feeling of a fortress under attack, where criticizing the leader becomes almost a betrayal of the nation. People may complain about corruption or poverty, but when they believe the enemy is at the gates, they rally behind the protector. We saw this in 2014 with Crimea. A shaky domestic situation was transformed into a national triumph. Putin's approval ratings skyrocketed, not because living standards improved, but because he sold the image of victory against the West. By defining himself as the shield against foreign enemies, Putin makes himself irreplaceable. Fourth strategy, manipulation of laws and institutions. Putin's power is not sustained by brute force alone. It is codified into the very framework of the state. The Constitution has been rewritten multiple times, most notably with the 2020 amendments that reset his presidential terms, allowing him to potentially stay in power until 2036. Courts, parliament, the electoral system all exist, but only as facades. They simulate democracy while being fully controlled from the Kremlin. Laws are flexible tools, bent or rewritten whenever needed. An opposition candidate rising too fast, they are barred from elections on a technicality. Protest laws tightened overnight, justified as public safety. The result is an environment where Putin never breaks the rules because the rules can always be changed. This gives his regime a thin layer of legitimacy, both domestically and internationally, while keeping real control in his hands. The fifth strategy, balancing raw power with powerful symbols. A regime cannot rely on repression alone. It must also inspire belief. Putin has mastered the art of combining strength with myth. On one side, the tools of fear, police crackdowns, surveillance, intimidation, and the ever-present power of the FSB. On the other, the carefully crafted image of a decisive, masculine leader. Shirtless horseback rides, judo demonstrations, ice hockey games, meetings with soldiers. These symbols matter. They project an aura of vitality and authority that reassures supporters and intimidates rivals. The population doesn't just fear him. Many genuinely see him as a necessary figure, the embodiment of stability in an unstable world. Putin sustains a myth that without him, Russia would collapse. And myths, once entrenched, are harder to fight than armies. Conclusion: what you can take from this Putin's longevity in power is not an accident. It is the product of a system deliberately engineered over 2 decades. He has bound elites to him through dependence and fear, seized control of the narrative through information monopoly, unified the population through external threats, bent institutions and laws to his will, balanced coercion with myth-making to create an enduring image. What you can underline here is this: power is never just about brute force. It is about controlling perceptions, rewriting rules, and weaving fear with hope. Putin demonstrates how authority can be manufactured and sustained, but also how fragile it becomes once those pillars are shaken. His strategies show both the genius and the danger of political survival. And for any observer, they serve as a chilling manual of modern authoritarianism.